listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Can't get enough baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
All right, there's no human being on the planet I'd rather be talking to right now than Lucas Erceg. Fact. Nobody. How are you, Lucas? What's going on?
Hey, doing well, man. Just got done with the first day of spring training officially. Threw a bullpen, arm feels good, body feels good. I'm in a good spot. So
best shape of your life? Best shape of your life season?
Yeah, it's about.
Really?
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait. What'd you say? Best shape
of your life? Yeah.
I think so. Especially after making it into the postseason and kind of elongating the season there. It kind of put things into perspective for me on how to kind of shape out my off season. So I think I've done a lot of things right. Recovering, making sure I'm doing all the right things in the off season to prepare for spring training. And I want to say that, sorry, my cat's.
Oh, what's the cat's name? That's
Miso. And then the other one is behind me eating. His name's Monkey.
Oh, I was going to say, it's the other one's Soup. No.
Yeah.
No.
That'd be funny.
But okay, so best shape of your life. Because it's one of my favorite questions to ask. And I wasn't even going to ask it, but since you brought it up, because I love asking guys if they're in the best shape of your life. Because Lucas, you know this. You've been around baseball long enough. This is best shape of your life season.
100%.
We had on just yesterday. We had on Ryan Brazier, who had one of the best answers for the best shape of his life question, which was, "I've never been in the best shape of my life." At least he's honest, right?
Yeah.
But I will ask you this. All right, if you went into that clubhouse, the Royals clubhouse right now, and say, "I'm not in the best shape of my life, but I'm going to be." That's a very nice way of me saying that, hey, you know what? They're going to have to put on the rubber suit and run around in the heat of Arizona a little bit. And does his name rhyme with John Schreiber? Friend of the program.
No comment.
Friend of the program.
Yeah. So. That's my guy. Shred.
Oh, it's all the guys. It's our guy too. That's why we kid, because we care.
Yeah. No, that's funny.
So who is in the best shape of their life? You being in camp right now?
Hey, just just after the first look at all the guys coming in, I think everyone seems ready to go. Everyone seems very prepared. More so, it was just kind of nice to see everyone. It's good to have that camaraderie back immediately. It almost seemed like the season ended a couple of weeks ago, so it was just a little bit of downtime in between getting back to it.
So, well, that's the thing, though, Lucas. Really, you have this dynamic, which you haven't had before, right? Where you come in, you travel. We were just talking. You traveled all over the place in the off season, but there is that element. Oh, hey, man, that was fun. That was fun. I remember, we were talking in the runway and the workout day of Yankee Stadium and the excitement of the playoffs, and
100%.
you were doing well, and then sort of it falls off a cliff. But then after probably a few weeks, you're like, let's go. We're a good. I'm part of a really good team that showed that we could go to the playoffs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and like I was telling you before, my wife and I had just bought a house. Actually, we closed on it the day I got traded over to Kansas City. So we were grateful that Kansas City had spring training in Arizona and not in Florida.
Oh.
But no, as soon as the postseason ended, we got home. We got straight to moving in. So it kind of took us a couple of weeks to finally get settled down. And I remember just one of the first couple of days of getting settled in, I went out and had a cup of coffee in the backyard and kind of sat down and had that realization of oh my God, what did I just go through? You know what I mean? Being in the postseason, pitching at home at in Kansas City in that electric ballpark, and winning the wild card in Camden Yards. Just really cool to look back on once it's already been done. But that immediately gave me the feeling of, oh man, I can't wait to get back.
So you talk about that Camden Yards game. That was so awesome, man. And so when we were talking with Walker Bueller, asked him, "Hey, how many times have you watched that final pitch?" I don't know how many times you went back and watched your game at Camden Yards or not, if you have, or if that a thing? Because if I was you, I would be putting it on like repeat in my living room.
Yeah, I think I think the next couple of days after we'd won, I went back and watched just so I can, see what I was doing right, see what I was doing wrong. But I really didn't really touch it this off season in terms of like rewatching it and just kind of reliving it. I wanted to make sure I had enough time to decompress from baseball and kind of give my body and my mind a little bit of a break. But like I said, once I started thinking about it again, it was kind of like, oh yeah, it's already almost January, almost February, so let's get back to it.
It was awesome. And so then conversely, after the season ends, are you one of these people who just want to get away? Like, hey, listen, I get it. The Yankees are advancing. Yes, I get it. The World Series is going on, but I got a house to move into. I got to travel to have. Or did you sit down there and actually soak it in and make yourself watch that?
Yeah, no, I for sure. So I made my wife watch it as well, the rest of the playoffs, because obviously I don't like losing the Yankees and the Dodgers. They're all good teams, right? But I thought we were better. I thought we were more energetic. I thought we were kind of fighting with a little bit of chip on our shoulders. So it kind of sucked to lose, obviously. But watching the rest of the World Series kind of gave me some more perspective because I do work out with a buddy that's with the Dodgers, and I was back home 2 weeks before he was, right, and so when we got to talking about it and really understanding how long that season ended up being for him, it was like, okay, well, I have to make sure I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to prepare myself for an extra 2 weeks next season. You know what I mean? So
It's interesting you said that because looking back at your team, it was a fun team, man, and it was an energetic team. And you guys played the game right. And I'll come back to something that our LLC owner, Joe Kelly, said on a podcast, which is he said, listen, if you wanted to re-rank the playoffs, the Yankees, this is what he said, but he said the Yankees would have been down at the bottom. And the reason is because of the way that he thought that they played. It was well documented. Cashman's responded, Boone has responded, all that stuff. But the point is that the Yankees had pieces. They made it to the World Series. But in terms of the overall way that you guys played, like nobody would have, if guys made it to the World Series, nobody would have said that because you guys played really across the board the right way, I felt like anyway.
yeah, it almost seemed, and like I said, I was only there after the trade deadline, but it almost seemed like the expectations were immediately against us going into the postseason, right? So it kind of fueled us. It was like a little bolt of energy to kind of say F the haters, right? F the people that think we're gonna lose game one, this and that. So that along with the atmosphere in Camden Yards and going into, straight into New York to go play the Yankees in the ALDS and then coming back home, it all kind of made an accumulation of like energy bursts, right? And I think we kind of just at that point in time, it was just we hit the peak and kind of started slowing down a little bit. It may have seemed like maybe guys were tired. I know for one I was exhausted.
Were
Right?
you? Yeah.
Oh man, it was. I mean, that was the longest season I've ever had, obviously, but just the added pressures, the added atmosphere. You know what I mean? All that also gets taken into account. But like I said, I with that in mind going into the off season, I wanted to make sure that we're we're gonna be in that spot again, and I want to make sure that not only for myself but for my teammates and everyone else that we're prepared for that and ready to hit that peak, in the World Series, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's confidence goes a long way in baseball. sometimes you have to have a season where you almost make it to get to the season where you're like, hey, we know what this is. We know we're good enough. We're not gonna, this isn't about surprising anyone. We're just good. We're just a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would imagine. Listen, you've been there for a day, whatever it is, but I would imagine that's the vibe. Like
Oh,
that's right.
without a doubt. Yeah. Day
Yeah,
one, I met the team in Chicago. They were playing the White Sox. And immediately from the get-go, everyone was saying, we're happy to have you. We're happy, we're in this postseason push. We're gonna, make it to the postseason. Everyone's talking about the postseason. And I'm going, man, this is exciting. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't really have that in Oakland, and that's not to say that, the team was bad, my teammates were bad, the coaching staff was bad. I loved everyone with the A's, but it was just I immediately got over there, and it was just like a refreshing sense of like the next step. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
I mean, because they're jacked up, they're in it. That's what the trade deadline's all about, right? I mean,
exactly.
and there's nothing like it. Again, it's no knock on the A's, but we all know what's going on. It was. I don't want to get into that because
Yeah.
you've had to answer a ton of A's and Oakland questions, and they're moving on to Sacramento. In the words of Bill Belichick, we're on to Sacramento. But when you talk about like how far that you have come, it's obviously like an awesome story and a cool story. Um, and I don't want you to have to rehash like all of it, but all I say is this is that, and I do want to get into the two-way player thing because I reference this. So we had a kid on the podcast a few days ago who was drafted in the 8th round last year by the Red Sox, and they're letting him be a two-way player. They're flat out letting him be a two-way player. So Lucas, your name came up, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Um, I just want to, if you can, just reflect on 5 years ago, now, right? So you well documented. You found your sobriety on June 9th, 2020, correct?
June 10th.
June 10th.
You're clear. Yeah, close.
I
No, you're fine.
apologize. You were
No,
thinking
not a problem.
you went to bed on June 9th and you woke up on June 10th. Yeah.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
but when I'm like looking back at that, I'm thinking what it was like because that was obviously the COVID year, but there was a spring training that year too. It was people forget up until March 11th, you're playing baseball, you were doing your thing. You look back 5 years ago to where you were heading at this point in spring training now compared to where you are now. I know that's a huge, huge, broad question, but I was just kind of thinking about it when I was looking at that timeline. Is that a palatable question or a question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I mean, going back to my sobriety and all that, I think obviously that was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Um, you know, at that point in time in 2020, before the shutdown and all that, I don't know how to say it really, but I almost felt like my own expectations of me were like on the floor. Like I had no expectations of myself. I had no plan of attack in terms of like what I wanted to do that year, that season, what I needed to improve on. It was all just a cluster in my mind, right?
And where exactly were you at that time?
I was I was still with the Brewers.
Yeah.
I was still a position player,
Mm.
and I got invited to the big league spring training and immediately just hit a wall. Like wasn't didn't seem like I was prepared. I thought I was at the time, obviously, but looking back, it's like I didn't do much to prepare, honestly. You know, I had my priorities all mixed up. I didn't really take like the professional game seriously. I always knew I was good enough, but I never really sat down and figured out a way to, you know, find a process so that I can develop further. Um, so I think a couple of weeks into camp, I got sent down back over to minor league camp, and to me that was just like, oh, what here comes another crappy year playing in Double A or Triple A, or you know what I mean.
Mm.
And yeah, no, and looking back on where I am now, and um, I always talk about having that grace and that perspective on how much better my life is now. Obviously, it's a little bit easier to say that because I'm pitching in the big leagues and enjoying every moment, but I think it goes way beyond that. I think everything in my personal life is better. Everything in my, relationships with my wife and with my, with their family, my family, it's all gotten to a point where it's a lot better, a lot cleaner. Um, and why would I want to jeopardize that improvement by, picking up the bottle or not doing the right things when, people are counting on me to? So, it all comes back down to perspective and having that in the back of my head, like, man, it's don't take anything for granted because it can be taken away super easily, especially in this game. So hopefully that never happens. But if it does, I'll be more prepared, if that makes sense. I have a process that I follow every day, and it allows me to find success even on some bad days.
What do you do every day?
What,
What's your like again? You're talking about your process, and are you or is that because some people are very very like I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Are you that guy, or is it just more of a general thing?
Yeah, I try to be. I don't try and prioritize like being on the same schedule, same routine every day.
Hmm.
I'm talking more so what the mindset going into each thing is, right? Is like I can choose to allow that person that, cut me off driving up Grand to, piss me off, or I can choose to be, like maybe they got to use the bathroom really bad and they're just zooming in and out of traffic. You know what I mean? It's an easy way to kind of flip the switch and allow yourself to kind of understand things in a different way. And at the end of the day, all my decisions are based around, just being happy and being in the moment. And I think, I think I've said it to you when we were doing that interview down in New York, but it's just happiness is a choice, right? So I choose to be happy. I choose to do things that make me happy, and if some days I wake up and I'm feeling kind of sore, but I got to work out that day, then I'm gonna work out sore, right? I'm not gonna just not work out. I think there's a lot to grasp in that. So
I just think that it's such a good jumping off point this time of year to use where you were 5 years ago, because a lot of people in 5 years grow, a lot of people change, a lot of people have more success, all of it. But for you, it was so dramatic, not only in terms of performance. Obviously, you become this major league, really, really, really good major leaguer. Where, as you said, a guy who was just sent to the minor league camp. But there's a lot of people heading into camp right now, probably along the lines of where you were, and really having no clue of about how to approach it, and when they do hit that wall, they're like, oh man, I'm never going to get out of this. And they can look to you. I'm using you as motivation, but they can look to you and say, hey, listen, if you do the right things, it might take you a few years, but you're going to land in a pretty good spot. Yeah. So I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I want to use like my experience, like you said, to help others that are either having trouble on the field, off the field, whatever. I was gonna wait until like full camp started to kind of make an announcement about, just a little bit about my sobriety, and if anybody has any questions, if anybody thinks they're struggling, they can come to me anonymously, they can trust me, they can ask me whatever they need. Um, I like helping people. I think it's something that I didn't allow myself to do, was to ask questions and ask for help. I tried playing the role of, oh, I can do that myself. I can figure it out myself. And it just got to a point where I couldn't, you know what I mean? I had to find some humility and finally ask for help. Like I said, it was the best decision I've ever made. And now looking back on it, it's like, what can I do to help now? You know what I mean? You got
Well,
to pay it forward a little bit.
yeah. Well, have you ever done that? Like you said, you wanted to, when guys come to camp. Have you done that before? Or is that something that you feel like you're at a place in your life, a place in your career where you can maybe have that reach more than you did
Yeah,
maybe a couple of
yeah.
years
I
ago?
think I think I've never done that before. I think, like you said, is I have a little bit more of a reach now that I've been in the big leagues for a couple of years. I didn't want to do that. Emma, can you? Sorry, my cat's going crazy.
Oh, no, we embrace felines in the
Yeah.
program. Yeah, it's all good.
Um, no, I wanted to wait a little bit and not step on any toes or be the guy that's like, hey, I'm just making that my personality. I want guys to obviously get to know me first and then kind of get comfortable with sharing that. But at the same time, I feel like now I think I'll have a little bit more. I think people's ears are going to be a little bit more,
Yeah, you have more
this.
cachet. I mean, that's it. Honestly, it's not bragging. It's not ego. It's just this is a reality. And I'll give you an example, Lucas. This is a terrible example, but still, like a lot of times, guys want to deliver messages in a baseball clubhouse. They want to do it. I remember Mookie Betts when he went to the Dodgers. He was the guy who signed the big contract, the star that came over. He gives the speech, and as as our guy said, Joe, who had played with Mookie, said, Mookie, eh. And
Yeah.
his word was kind of cringy, right? But flash forward, Mookie's great about that stuff now. Mookie is absolutely a Rudy on the stool in the middle of the clubhouse sort of guy. Like he's earned that
100%, yeah.
right. But I think that's an example of what I'm talking about. Is that when you have the cachet that you have developed and earned, I think I'm glad that you're using it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Well, and like even right now we're talking about it, it's like it's not a very it's terrifying in theory, right? But we get to talking and it starts to be more comfortable and it starts to flow a little bit more naturally. I at the end of the day, I just don't want it to feel forced. I don't want it to feel like, somebody that I'm telling this to kind of takes it personally and is like, "Oh my God, what has he heard from who?" You know what I mean? That type of deal. I want it to be organic. I want it to feel like it's genuine. You know what I mean?
You can workshop it if you want. I mean, no, I don't want to. Because everybody's different, and honestly, probably if someone came up to you and you offer that advice or that mentoring, it might not even have to do with having your sobriety or chasing sobriety. It might have to
Yeah,
do with something else. It might have to do with mental health. It might have to do with anything, right?
absolutely.
So another
Absolutely.
guy who's in there. This is an expert segue into something else. But another guy who might come up and ask you something about something is the Royals' first round pick from last year, right? Jack, our guy Jack
Yeah,
C, who was a two-way player at University of Florida,
that's right.
and I have you met have do you have get a chance to meet him at all or
No, I haven't met him yet.
okay?
No.
But two-way player, you were a two-way player. You were a very, very good two-way player, hitting and pitching. What would and I've said this the other day on the podcast that I referenced before, and I thought it was just like so powerful what you said, where you said, I correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that I was chasing the Otani thing so much. I was chasing being that guy so much.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was so glad you admitted that. And I was also so for all these people who are trying to do this, and maybe someone will do it. But I would imagine when you talk about mentoring people, and this is a great, this wasn't meant to be the mentoring podcast, but you're doing a great job.
Mhm.
I would imagine if Jack came up to you and asked you about it, that would be a powerful message for him. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always nice to hear from, players that have already been there and done that, right? And I was there and did that in double A and it was for half a year trying to do the two-way thing that is. But I think at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you're trusting in the process, right? Like and I struggled to trust in the process. I wanted to do it so badly that I let the results and the the kinks and the chains that kind of held me back of not immediately finding success. That's ultimately what kind of held me back. That and not being able to recover well enough. I mean, my body was hurting, my arm was hurting, you know what I mean? And I was throwing, I think, maybe 2 or 3 innings a week and DHing the rest of the time. And it was tough, you know what I mean? It was way tougher than I thought. Doing it in college, you're playing 3 times a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But you get into pro ball and you're playing, anywhere from 6 to 18 games in a row. So it's kind of like, what are where are you supposed to find the recovery? And I think that was what was the most important aspect of just kind of going through that is like, man, this is harder than I thought. I need to find time to recover. And obviously the older you get, the harder it's going to be to find that.
But you want it, like, again, Otani is the easy thing
Right.
to chase, but it's the
Yeah.
very real thing, because until someone else does it, everyone's going to chase it. And like you said, when you're in the middle of it and you're doing it and you're like, well, I think I can power through here. You want to keep doing it.
100%. Yeah, and I even think my teammate Michael Lorenzen is another great
Oh,
example.
that's a
to
great
ask, you know
example.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like back when he was with the Reds in the National League, they were still double switching in the sixth or the seventh or whatever, and I mean he was performing too, which was very like that was also like man, if it's one thing if Otani the unicorn can do it, but this guy Michael Lorenzen's doing it and he's doing it no problem. You know what I mean? Like why can't I do it? But
Have
you
you
know,
talked to him about that?
oh yeah,
That's
oh yeah, we
really
talk to him. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. Yeah.
okay. Well, as we said, I talked to again Austin Adams today, and he said that I said, "Hey, is there anything that I should ask Lucas?" I said, "Ask him how good a hitter he is, because he's going to say he's a really, really
I knew he was going to
he's
say
going to
that.
say he's a really, really, really good hitter."
No, we had a good group down in the A's bullpen with Austin Adams, TJ, and Scotty, and obviously they were more polished veteran, bullpen guys, and they've been around the league a while. And once they got word that I used to be a hitter, they started asking me questions, this and that. So I kind of chirp back at them and say, "Oh man, if I was still hitting, I would take your S
Yeah,
word way back."
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they would just roast me down the bullpen, saying, "Oh, that's why you're in the big leagues as a pitcher, right?" And that was just fun, dude. Yeah,
Oh, it's good. Listen, don't back off of it. Keep telling him. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him. Listen, he was very humble. Lucas was very humble about this. But
yeah.
I've heard Austin. Like I got to be honest with you. I heard he's an unbelievable hitter.
No, no, you gotta just tell him. Yeah, no, I've seen videos on Twitter and on YouTube about his home runs. I think he's got something there. Yeah, you should tell him.
I said, listen, I think he's going to become. Forget Otani. Otani might start, but how about a two-way player that closes out games? Let's go. So,
Oof. I mean,
yeah.
that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Speaking of closing out games, so it's you have a two-headed closer monster for the Royals now, right?
Absolutely, we do. Yeah.
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 So where were you when you found out about the Estevez news?
I was at home and
Yeah.
it was I mean, it wasn't shocking to me. I knew, there was gonna be moves that were still gonna be made. Guys needed to sign somewhere, right? Um, but yeah, no, I think right before it went public, JJ Piccolo and, Matt Quatraro, manager, they both gave me a call and kind of, took me took me in and made sure that I was doing all right with the decision they made and this and that. And I told both of them, I was like, listen, not in a million years would I have expected a major league manager or a GM to call me and break the news to me first and make sure that I was feeling all right about it, this and that. And I told them, listen, at the end of the day, I'm on the team to win. I want to win. I don't care who's in the bullpen. I don't care what my role is. I want to go out there and get 3 outs and do my job and have fun doing it. You know what I mean? I think that's what the game is all about. So
I'm so glad you said that. If you right before you said that, I was thinking, what an honor that is, man. That if we talk about Yeah, sure. We can talk about Camden Yards. We can talk about playoffs. We can talk about closing in the playoffs and all of that. But you know how far you've come when that happens, right?
Absolutely. Well, and,
That's
and it's just a testament to how classy the Royals are as an organization and how much they actually do care for the players. You know what I mean? It makes me feel good. It made me feel really good that they did that. You know, I understand that, businesses decisions are going to happen. I can't control any of those, so it's not like I'm going to let uh, that affect my gameplay or anything because I still want to pitch in the big leagues. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I still want to be here every day and compete at the highest level. So, um, you have to be professional about it. And like I said, I really appreciated them doing that. I think that shows their true colors and who they are as people, as well as, you know, um, people in professional baseball.
Yeah, they're good guys, man. Like you got
Yeah.
a good group there. All right, last thing. We're going to talk tattoos. You know why?
Why
Because
is
I
that?
got my first one.
Oh, yeah, you got it in a little meaty
You
spot
know
too.
what
How'd that
that? Can you
feel?
see what that's? You probably can't see what that says.
Baseball. Oh yeah, baseball isn't boring.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
yeah, that's sick.
We
How'd that
went
feel?
not great.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a
once
tough
you
spot.
get up to the armpit.
That's
So
right.
we've talked about this on the podcast, but the real quick, I told Joe Kelly agreed that if they won the World Series, we would get baseballs and boring tattoos, but only from Mr. Cartoon, which is a world famous tattoo artist who only does Beyonce and Eminem and evidently me and Joe.
Nice.
And so
Hell
flew out
yeah.
to LA, baseballs and boring,
Sick.
but once you get it, you can't, as I said, once I was telling Giolito this today, he has a bunch of them. And I said, you can't get another one if you get one from like that, the Michelangelo of.
Yeah, you set the bar pretty high. Yeah.
But you have a meaningful tattoo,
Mhm.
right? On your leg, correct?
Yeah, I got a bunch of them.
Okay. If you could, please tell me the story.
Of the one on the back of my leg.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Oh,
so
whatever. Take your pick. Whatever tattoo story you want. It's fine.
yeah. Well, I started on my arm. I finished
Yeah.
my arm in shoot, I think 2018, 2019 maybe. I didn't really, get any more after that. But then one off season, I kind of was like, oh man, kind of want a leg. I've always wanted a leg sleeve, so let's start on the leg sleeve. Why not? Let's do it. So I sat down and kind of did some research on what I wanted it to mean, what it meant to other people, and this and that. So got a Slavic, basically Slavic Zeus on my knee. His name's Perun. Um, and then I have almost like a Viking tribal tat down my shin. And then I have a Saint Michael on the back of my calf, which did not feel good. And then I have here should I get up and show
Yeah,
you?
yeah, 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 of course. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I did a full circle. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Can you see that well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's Perun. That's the Slavic tribal right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that must. Oh,
The
and
shin actually didn't hurt that
the
bad.
shin did, and the calf hurt the most.
Oh, this one right here.
Uh,
So yeah, that's Saint Michael.
oh,
And this is my sobriety tat. If you can see.
okay. Yeah, yeah. On your hamstring. Yeah,
Yeah, on my
yeah,
hamstring.
yeah.
But I've been
Man.
meaning I've been meaning to I wanted to get my sleeve done because all this stuff on the inside right here is still
Yeah.
blank. Obviously, I kind of wanted to fill it in, make sure everything kind of tied in together.
What was the longest one? What was the one that took the longest? Because I was asking Mr. Cartoon. I'm like, there was a million. You're in a different place when Joe's son Knox walks in the building and say, "Hey, what's Eminem's favorite tattoo?" Like it's like okay, but I had a million questions. Travis Barker, or whatever it is, I had a million questions for him. But I had obviously a stupid one, which was, "What's the longest tattoo you took to do a tattoo?" Which to
Right,
me, it's like fascinating. The attention to detail, how long it takes, that
right,
was crazy to me. And he's like, I think he did a full leg sleeve, 6 hours or something like that.
right.
Yeah.
No, I think thankfully my tattoo artist that I've been going to for a couple years now, he likes to take breaks every hour and a half to 2 hours to kind of, reset the focus a little bit. And we also didn't really work on the same tattoo each time I went in. Last off season, I was going in basically every Friday for anywhere from 3.5 to 5 hours. And so it just got to a point in the off season. I think it was like the turn of the new year where I was just like, "Hey, listen, Justin, man, I'm pretty tired of this going in every Friday and just ruining my weekend with having a sore leg." You know what I mean? So we'll just wait to finish it next off season. Obviously, this off season I was traveling a lot, so I didn't really have time to, dedicate a couple hours a week to.
Sorry, we can't go to that wedding in Florida. I have to get a
Yeah, I
tattoo
know.
on
I
my
can't
leg.
sit down. Oh, but yeah, the St. Michael's one on the back of my calf,
Oh, it killed. Yeah, there was
it was like a cigar torch on my skin for 5 hours. Yeah, it was not.
yeah, it
It
was
wasn't the most fun.
the armpit. That's for me. Like everyone's like up here. The
Yeah,
arm.
up in that
Yeah,
meaty,
yeah.
flabby area.
And I
Like
had
it's
no idea, Lucas. Like like Joe has a bunch of tattoos, so he was sitting there and he was just euphoric because
yeah,
he
yeah.
has this guy who is looked up to performing art on him and jumps out of the chair and I'm like, oh, that can't be that bad. And then I start doing it. I'm like, this is literally a needle dragging through my
Yeah.
blue skin.
Well, you do get to a certain point, you get those cold sweats and all of it almost does feel euphoric, right? Almost like a runner's high. It's all
Yeah.
that I think it's all the dopamine or adrenaline just kicking in but it's
Well,
like it's the couple of hours after your body kind of starts to slow down again and the pain. It's not really even it's not pain, it's just it's annoying. It's annoying and it's
it's like it was like
immobilizing.
a sunburn. It was a
Yeah,
bad sunburn. That's what it
100%.
was.
Yeah.
Yes, but it was. I can't tell you the art, the attention to detail, and the art, and I know there is a baseball analogy to be had about the attention to detail, and you have to take every single second and make sure you don't mess up when you're in a pitching delivery. I don't know. I'm getting too deep.
Yeah. No, it
But
makes sense.
but I will say this: if you want, I've already had one major league manager commit if they win the World Series that they will also get the baseballs and boring tattoo. So,
Ooh. So are you asking me if we win the World
yeah,
Series?
yep.
That would be kind of sick. Would it be looking like that? Would
You
it
know, I
have
mean, no, you don't have to. I mean, this is this is the happy, the fat, sad face, and so it can. But no, we're open to every year's a new year.
yeah,
So, but it's who doesn't like base. This is why the T-shirts are so good, man. Like,
that's right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to commit now, but I want you to think about it. This is what
I'll
spring
think about
training.
it. Yeah.
Okay, all
No,
right,
I'll think about it.
all right.
I do eventually want more done. I think keeping it at the leg and the arm for now is probably where I'll be.
Hmm.
I think another really cool thing, I forgot who I was talking to. I think I was talking to my barber actually. He said he was talking to somebody else who, almost had a full body worth of ink, but he had a couple of spots that he kept blank purposefully. And my barber asked him why, and he said that the man said that I want to be able to get ink from a 25-year-old when I'm 70 years old, right? Like somebody, I want a 25-year-old person to tattoo my body on a body that obviously like
Yeah.
that tattoo artist wasn't alive 25 years ago or whatever but I was and I was getting ink this and that. So I thought that was pretty cool
That
to
is cool. I thought you were going down. So Tanner Houck said that because he has a bunch of them, but he says he doesn't do it anywhere where if he wears a suit, it can show. So
yeah. Yeah.
neck, hands, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And you
I
also,
think that's why I stopped
yeah.
my sleeve.
Okay. Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Just so
Yeah.
that with wearing a sweatshirt or whatever, you can't really tell. But who knows? I always tell my wife, it's like I want this sick like something that's just sticking out a little bit, right? And then my shirt's off and I got my whole shit covered. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I've heard the stomach is probably the worst. Stomach and
Uh, No,
Yeah, stomach in the ribs. Sounds
as
crazy.
someone who, no, I mean, the stomach is never a good idea.
I know.
Because
I know.
there's very few people as you go along in life where that tattoo is gonna age well. you
I
know?
know. I know. Yeah,
Yes.
100%. Unless you got the best genetics known to man. Yeah, you're probably in a tough spot in 4 years.
Maybe it's motivation. Maybe it's
That's right. Yeah.
motivation.
Yeah.
And tell Schreiber also the offer stands for him. When you see him tomorrow, or whenever you see him, tell the offer stands for him. And also, if he's not going to get the baseball's in the boring tattoo, his nickname was 8 Mile. So just tell him, say, hey, when you see him, say, hey, 8 Mile, what up? Right?
All right. All right.
And that's
I'm sure he'll get.
yeah. I mean,
Is that because he's from Michigan?
yes, yeah.
Somewhere in Michigan.
I had
Yeah.
to. We were trying to get him to the All-Star game a couple of years ago, so we had to give him a nickname. So
I got you.
Joe Castiglione, the Hall of Fame broadcaster, wanted to call him Johnny Leverage, but I said that's such a lame name, Joe. It's not 8 Mile. Anyway, I've kept you way too long. I really appreciate
No, not at all.
I appreciate it, and you're part of the family. I appreciate everything you do, and let us know how we can help spread the good word. And thank you for helping so many people in so many ways. So thank
Yeah,
you.
no. Hey, my pleasure. It is always mine. I appreciate it.